Welcome back to What You Missed Gaming, the video game news show that knows it's dangerous to go alone and uninformed on the internet. So here, take this video game news with you and stay informed, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome back to What You Missed, Mavericks and YouTubers alike, the only show on the internet where your host looks more akin to Arceus crossed with the god form of a human in their profile picture. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am here to deliver the news for you today, and we got quite a lot of stories. I want to start off with some Xbox news. So the Xbox store has confirmed the Destiny 2 DLC leak. Now this doesn't just apply to Xbox, but that's where it came from. Basically what they're talking about here is a few things. There's a falling list of additions to the base game. We already knew some of this because the DLC in the pre-order kind of described it, but basically you'll be able to go to Mercury and explore a quote mysterious infinite forest, new story missions and adventures, new themed weapons, armor and gear to earn, new cooperative activities, and competitive multiplayer arenas. We already knew this stuff was coming. It's exactly the same thing as Destiny 1. Now, some players are upset and saying that Destiny 2 is doing the same exact thing Destiny 1 is, where they are taking out chunks of the game just to sell it as DLC. I would like to contest and say that that is a potential possibility, but at the same time, I would like to point out that perhaps they just released Destiny 2 as early as they possibly could to get into the hands of gamers. Remember, this is September, not November, where we usually get the big hitter releases, so it's about a month early, and if they had waited, perhaps this would have been part of the main game. I don't know how you feel about that. At the end of the day, most people who play Destiny 2 just buy the season pass anyways, so there you go. Halo backwards compatibility releases are taking extra time. Quote, "We are taking extra time to ensure the experience lives up to fan expectations, but I hear we're making great progress and release should be getting closer." And that's the Xbox backwards compatibility team. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can't just pop an Xbox 360 or original Xbox disc into your Xbox One and just play it. It doesn't work like that. Emulators don't work like that. Each individual game has to be played through, configured, tested, and yes, it's not as long and arduous as making a new game in it of itself, but it still takes a lot of time to do that stuff. So it's nice to see that the team itself is working hard on making these games backwards compatible, even though they do have the Xbox One's Master Chief Collection, which is basically all of these games wrapped up in one. Sea of Thieves, of all developers and indie developed games, is apparently lending and sharing its amazing water tech with PLAYERUNKNOWN'S Battlegrounds. This is more than likely due to the simple fact of a collaboration between the companies. As we know, PLAYERUNKNOWN'S Battlegrounds works with Microsoft, and if I recall correctly, Sea of Thieves is developed by Rare, so of course, if they are going to work together, this isn't exactly a surprise. It's not a surprise, but it is shocking that companies are coming together and actually sharing technologies. This is nice because a lot of companies see other companies as complete opponents and enemies and don't really like to work with them. So it's great to see this stuff happening in the gaming industry. This can only make games better. This cannot make games worse. VR is not likely in the Nintendo Switch's future. That statement comes from Nintendo of America's president, COO Reggie Fils-Aimé, and he appears to have dashed the hopes of anyone looking and talking about VR on the Nintendo Switch. Quote, "Problem with VR is that there are not a lot of experiences that are truly fun. There are no plans to experiment with VR capabilities. Variety reports the company may consider the technology in the future," which is a shame because a while ago they were talking about potentially doing VR if they could solve the headset problem, where the headset weighed the user's head down. And I agree completely. If you put on some of those headsets, it does get taxing after 20 to 30 minutes. And yeah, I know some people don't play for longer periods than 20 to 30 minutes, but at the same time, you know, you don't want to sit there and get done playing your video game with a neck ache or anything. Just remember the Virtual Boy. It's not really a surprise that Nintendo's a little bit leeryous to jump into the whole VR field again. The Virtual Boy was a commercial failure, but then again, they did rush to put that system out. Hopefully, Nintendo will look at VR in the future, because if anyone can do it right, it probably will be Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo. And Sony has attempted interested, but they're not really producing like massive first-party games for it. So let's hope that there's a big push for it. Otherwise, it's going to remain stagnant until it happens. So Star Fox characters use the likeness of Nintendo legends. Yeah, apparently in an interview, the original creator and Star Fox game graphic designer were talking about how they used the inspirations of individuals that they worked with. Like Shigeru Miyamoto had a fox face, so they based a fox on him. And Tsuyoshi had a hook-like nose, and they based Falco off of him. So there you go. It's nice to see developers can laugh and joke about how individuals look, and they make them into games. They're like, oh, you look at this character, you look like this character I created in this game. Look at this. Ah, it's funny. You know, they all chuckle, they all have a laugh. Nowadays, if you did that, you would be sued for every penny you have, and you'd be jailed for harassment. So times are changing. Also, I'd like to interject that if you'd like to get a real deal here, IGN has Star Fox listed for the low price of $489.99, so you can go ahead and get that deal on the Super Nintendo. Malaysia blocks the entirety of the Steam store because of God fighting game. Now this is an interesting story. So basically, there's an indie developed game where it puts the religious figures in the ring together to battle it out. I don't know if this is a good game or a bad game. That doesn't matter. The premise of the game is what got it banned. So what ended up happening is Malaysia banned the entirety of Steam. It's been lifted, however, several internet service providers are still blocking access to the Steam store, and Fight of the Gods remains unavailable. In a statement sent to GamesBeat, Valve's marketing, Doug Lombardi, stated that right now, players in Malaysia can access the games they own on Steam, but the Steam store is being blocked by some local telcos in Malaysia, and that is in regards to Fight of the Gods. Then they contacted the developer, asked them to remove it from Malaysia, remove the game, attempted to contact officials of Malaysia with removing the block. And so what happened here, what caused this, is basically Jesus Christ has been added to the game, and reports say as a result, the Steam domain is now completely blocked. Well, the update says, you know, some things have been unblocked, but it's not all the way there. So the sum of this is that because Jesus Christ was added to a fighting game and is fighting these godlike figures from our world, that's what got this game taken down. Maybe it was another god, maybe not, who knows. At the end of the day, I'm training to be a minister. I've spoken about this quite a lot, so I have a lot of religious background. This doesn't necessarily offend me. I think it's tripe and trivial and uninspired. Like, oh boy, I've got an idea. How about we put all of the gods of the legends together and have them fight? Woo! This is so original, you know? And it's extremely offensive to other cultures. I'm not offended by it. I personally couldn't care less. There's people who dress up as Jesus Christ for Halloween, man. If you want to insult a man who basically died for your sins, you know, feel free to do it. Other countries take this stuff very serious, and you can see it right here. So at the end of the day, it really is dependent on how you view religion. I personally say the more skepticism I can have, the more questions lunged at me over my religion, means that I have to dig deeper for the answers. I do not want to end up being brainwashed. I do not want to end up believing some ridiculous false tripe. So I always ask people to ask me the most difficult questions. Instead of banning these things, I think we should allow almost everything you could possibly throw at religion and see what sticks. If a fighting game dissuades you from your religion, I guess it really wasn't that strong to begin with. Special editions of Skyrim are releasing, and apparently you can get this free if you've already purchased the Skyrim and all of the DLC on Steam Store. And if you apparently own the Xbox One or PlayStation 4 editions, you might be able to get this update for free as well. This is just kind of like a texture update. I'll put the details here. This article doesn't really go into details with everything. If somebody can find exactly what they're talking about here, they were talking about this being a free update of some kind, a free game of some kind. But when I looked into this article, I really can't find anything outside of the potential of what you could possibly get. Again, it's listing freeability for Steam users, and I would assume that if it's going to be free for Steam, it's probably going to be free for the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 as well. But there's not a lot of information here. If you guys are interested in that and you like Skyrim, then I guess that's really cool if you haven't used mods on PC. So Final Fantasy XV's director wants you to know he couldn't find a Nintendo Switch. Quote, I want you to make a headline. Tabata has not been able to purchase the Switch, and he told that to someone who was interviewing him in Seattle last weekend. There's not much else to that story. It's kind of a joke. You know, he likes the system, it's just they're extremely rare, and so I found that funny and wanted to put that up as a story. Hope you guys had a chuckle at that. When he picked the name RabbidLuigi 7 years ago, YouTuber had no idea what was coming. Ya boy, RabbidLuigi is getting a massive boost in his views and relevancy due to the simple fact of Mario plus Rabbids Battle Kingdom. Yeah, so there's a big interview here, and basically what he said is that when he picked his username, he had set up everything about his YouTube channel that he wanted to do, except the username. So he threw together 2 video game characters and kind of liked them, and that's it. He put the Rabbids and Luigi together, and that was that. That's what he came up with. Just like me. When I originally picked my name, I picked it in 2010, even though I've been on YouTube since 2006. I was in the military, so I wasn't able to do a lot with YouTube. But once I got out, I decided to make a username, and I made Protomario because I like Proto Man and I like Mario, and I was watching a Mega Man cartoon show at the time, believe it or not. I was unpacking from the military and just setting up a lot of stuff and just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with life, and that's how my username came about. It's not necessarily the username I would like to keep. I would prefer to be known as Grandmaster Gamer or Dark Lord Alexander. I like the name Alexander because it was a ruler and it commands power and things like that. But, you know, what's in the name? Rose by any other name smells as sweet. This article goes into his relevancy and how he's going to enjoy it and what he enjoys. So there you go, there's that. Let me know what you think about these news stories. Are you excited for backwards compatibility, or are you really upset about that VR? And what do you think about that Steam ban? Thanks for watching again, and as always, good gaming, God bless, and thanks for watching.